And I'm waiting for the video to start so I can see if there is audio. And here is their audio. And we have audio. Excellent. All right. And then Dementia Radio, streaming on Dementia Radio, and recording in 3, 2, 1. Let's do that again and turn on the music.
Recorded live on DementiaRadio.org, it's the Funny Music Podcast. Brought to you by FuMP.com, where you can download new free comedy songs twice a week. Now, here's your hosts, Devo Spice and the great Luke Ski.
Hey, Devo Spice.
Hey, Luke Ski.
So, what's going on this week?
We have Michael Bolly of Two Sleeps with us. Hey, Mike.
Hey, what's going on?
Not much. And Jake Dewar will be joining us shortly. He just got out of the shower. So as soon as he is dried off, his wet, naked ass will be gracing us with his presence. Welcome to episode 645 of the Funny Music Podcast for October 27th, 2022. Although today is the 26th, we are recording this a day early because on the 27th, Luke and I are both going to see Weird, the Al Yankovic story, the new Weird Al movie. Although we'll be on opposite coasts at the same time. He's in California, I'll be in Philadelphia. But hey, the title of this week's episode is The Cow Manager, which I just put into the chat. So your job is to work that into our conversations somehow. So, and I am so looking forward to this movie tomorrow. I cannot wait. I may leave work early just because I'm not going to be able to concentrate on work. I think once lunchtime hits, I'm going to be like, code, I can't concentrate. Need Al. And I'm just going to start going to Philadelphia.
Yeah, as I've said, y'all aren't prepared.
I'm not prepared. I'm excited, but I'm not prepared. We'll see what happens tomorrow. All right, let's do the catch-up thingy.
Let's get caught up with what Devo and Luke have been up to since last week. Or else Devo, if Luke bailed and didn't show up.
Hey!
What?
Oh, he's right.
So, Luke, what you been up to?
Well, we had our nerd comedy night out in Hollywood, and it was a lot of fun. Our host is a guy who is going by David Letterman with 2 D's, but he basically dresses up as David Letterman, and he even does like a top 10 list bit, which was fun. But yeah, it was some stand-ups and then also some musical comedy by myself and TV's Kyle and Linzilla with El Nage, and also once again Erica Haynes hopped on stage for a song to do Mary Berry Muffins, so that was cool.
Excellent.
And,
I just want to say Jake is here. Hi, Jake.
Hello.
We were hoping you were going to be wet and naked with a towel around you or something, but
I very nearly was. I was very ambitious. I thought, I can fit a workout, a shave, and a shower in before the podcast in time.
Sure.
Almost worked.
So close.
Sorry, Luke. Continue.
So yeah, Bonnie was there. She did some songs. She even had a ukulele, and she also, as a kind of interstitial between the main song, she actually performed some of the dumb parody ideas that they won Golden Spatulas for, which was great.
Nice.
So yeah, it was a fun time. Let's see. Not too much else going on with me other than working on this storyboard that I got to finish up in the next day or so. And Kyle and I recorded the next episode of the Tunes podcast coming out Sunday. We watched another one of those ABC Saturday morning preview specials and talked about it.
Oh, cool! I like those.
This one was from 1993, featuring the cast of Hangin' with Mr. Cooper. So that's fun. And yeah, can't think of too much else exciting to talk about. So yeah, what have you been up to?
I've been inundated with outside work, lots of freelance work, lots of aggravating freelance work, like stuff that I can't get working, and then we had to find a new host, and then we got it working there, but now I have to do it again. The client has to sign up to it. It's a thing. I've also been making lots and lots of CDs and DVDs. I got an order for 100 DVDs, which I just finished up, and those are ready to ship out. Those will go out tomorrow. And I'm making another 50 CDs for Chris for his Tambourine People project, because that's gotten picked up by some like rather famous DJ, and it's starting to get a fair amount of airplay. So Chris is going to do a radio push. So he had me make up a whole bunch more CDs so he can mail them out to radio stations and stuff, which is really cool. So I'm very excited for him, and I'm hoping this is a huge success for him. I watched the new episode of Doctor Who the other night.
Oh yeah, I did too.
Man, am I glad Chibnall is gone. I mean, I enjoyed this episode. Let me just say, I enjoyed the episode despite the plot. And it's like his style of writing is, let's see how much crap we can cram into this episode and still make a cohesive plot. And the answer is less crap than he crammed into that episode, because that was not a cohesive plot. But I did really enjoy like seeing the old doctors and the old companions again. I know you haven't watched the old show as much as I have, but at the end, when they were doing that like support group for the old companions, besides Ace and Tegan, they also had Joe Grant and Melanie, and they had Ian. And I was like, is that, when I saw him, I'm like, who is that dude? And I'm like, there's only a couple of people that he could be. And I'm like, that's not Ian, is it? So when the credits rolled, I paused it to make sure I didn't miss anybody. And sure enough, Ian Chesterton, who was the original companion in 1963, along with Barbara and Susan. That dude is 97 years old.
Wow.
And he was in that episode. So that was very cool seeing him again. Although I think, honestly, my favorite parts of that episode were seeing like the 5th Doctor have a conversation with Tegan and the 7th Doctor have a conversation with Ace. That was just, brought back all the feels. But yeah, so I'm very much looking forward to what they're going to do next now that Chibnall's gone. And I was thinking, like, I was wondering while I was watching it, like, why didn't they bring back any of the the newer companions other than Graham? And it turns out they weren't allowed to. Chibnall said he wasn't allowed to work with any of the new Doctors or the new companions. I'm guessing they're saving that for the 60th anniversary next year. But then I started thinking about it, and I'm like, all right, Rose is trapped in another dimension. Donna had her memory wiped. Bill is a Cyberman. I'm like, all these companions are dead or missing or just gone. I'm like, Amy and Rory were sent back in time. I'm like, who else could they have?
Martha and Mickey.
Martha and Mickey are about it, I think. So. We'll see what they do next year, but anyway.
Because I really like Jodie Whittaker's Doctor, but I was thinking about the other night. It's like trying to think back to like, what are my favorite episodes or adventures that she's had, and I can't none spring out to mind. It's
she hasn't really had any like outstanding episodes. Like the one that is I'm going to go back and rewatch her entire run because I do want to do a song about her Doctor. But the one that I really liked the most that I can think of off the top of my head is the one with that half assimilated Cyberman dude with Mary Shelley, where he was the inspiration for Frankenstein or something like that. That I can't tell you what that episode's about, but I enjoyed it at the time. But yeah, as I said, Chibnall just cram everything in there and see to make a story about it. I can't with him.
And so the way it ends is that
Sorry, folks. I need to relaunch Zoom. Actually, let's see if I can get into the existing meeting. Your meeting is currently in process. Let's see if I can get back into the existing meeting.
Oh, and
Recording in progress.
Okay, got it. All right. Jesus Christ. All right, so, hi, folks. So, I need a new computer in a bad way. So, what happened was this computer doesn't really hold a charge too well anymore, and it's halfway charged. It says it's halfway charged, and it's plugged in at the moment. However, if the wire is a little loose, and I think the wire connection to the plug is a little loose, and it's not charging, and I don't notice with the streaming to 2 different platforms and the 2 monitors I got hooked up here, it burns through the battery really fast, and it just shut off. So that's what happened. And I'm not buying a new computer until Apple introduces the M2 MacBook Pros, because if I buy it right now, I know they're going to introduce one next week. I do have the money saved up. But
I was just saying I got to be more careful too, because the laptop in my computer's been dead for a couple years now.
All right, so we're streaming on Twitch again. We're apparently back on Dementia Radio. I think that's all we need, right? I don't know if I'm going to have 1 file on Twitch or 2 to put that I need to reassemble. I know I have the audio for the first part of the recording anyway. So, where were we?
We're back.
we were wrapping up kind of what we've been up to with Doctor Who talk.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. So, Mike, what have you been up to?
What have I been up to? I've been recording a lot of music lately. Pretty much for 3 or 4 weeks now. That's about all I've been doing. Some for me, some for some clients, and yeah, so it's been fun.
I wish I was doing more of that. That's cool. And we will hear one of those new songs shortly. Jake, what have you been up to?
I am getting back into doing live shows. I'm prepping for a bunch of live shows in November, which I'm really excited about. One of which is an album release concert with Robbie Ellis. I helped track guitar on a lot of his new album remotely. It's called Metric System. It comes out November 4th, and the live show, if you're in Chicago, it's at the Annoyance Theater on November 5th. And yeah, it's not only one of my first or second shows in over 2 years for reasons we don't need to talk about. It's one of my first shows, like just playing with a full size band, like a 5-piece band. So I'm on guitar, Robbie's on bass. We've got Aaron Wright on alto sax, Michael Donnelly on drums, and Bryce Halliday, another talented musical comedian, on the keys. I'm also playing like mandolin, a little bit of bass, and a trash can.
Nice. That should be fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my first trash can solo.
Yeah, we were talking about that concert with Insane Ian, because he's going to be there as well.
He's going to be there as well. Yeah, there's a ton of guests on this album. So the premise is he's performing his album in track order and having a different guest vocalist on each song. So I'm doing one of the songs for vocals. Yeah, Insane Ian's doing a song. Whole bunch of awesome Chicago talent's going to be there, including someone who was in Wicked on Broadway, Carla Stickler, and
nice.
That's pretty cool. So
nice.
Yeah, super excited about that.
All right, so you posted a song. Give us a quick intro to this song, and we'll give it a listen.
So this is how can I put this as simply and neutrally as possible. This is a CCM, contemporary Christian music parody. It's a parody of the music, the genre of music, and not the religion itself. I do have thoughts about that, but we can get into that after the song. And something I think everyone can enjoy.
All right, here is Commercial Worship by Jake Dewar.
I won't bash religion or what people believe. The struggle to do better seems a worthy one to me. But I've heard music from all over the world, and nothing sounds quite like this specific genre we've unfurled. It's loud and majestic and it's easy to play. It talks about struggle in a really vague way. It's catchy and it's cheesy and it's over the top, but it's clear that no one here's going to stop the commercialization of our Lord. We sing his praises and play four chords repeatedly, repeatedly for all eternity. Capitalism is our king. Think of the glory he will bring. Commercial worship, commercial worship, commercial worship music. Your boundless grace, your name on high. I'm such a pile of garbage. Purge my sins before I die. Mountain tops, rocks, ocean, skies. Your everlasting buzzwords will surround our ears and eyes.
More examples, please.
Out of the silence we will rise like the sun, fulfilling your promises we will overcome. Your light and your love will set us free if we fall. Your holiness, creator of all. The commercialization of Jesus Christ, who we're certain was straight and cis and white. Cross promotion, cross promotion, cross promotion. Get it? Spreading his message and his word. We've packaged a perfectly polished turd. Commercial worship, commercial worship, commercial worship music. The commercialization of the Holy Ghost. We're shoving it down the people's throats with this music. Oh, this music. Wow, this music. The world is cruel and we need to cope. Don't need to be a buzzkill to your hope. But screw this music, screw this music, screw this music. Oh, screw this music, screw this music, screw this music. Yeah, screw this music, screw this music, screw this music. Hallelujah, I guess.
This.
Can I get an amen?
Amen.
Amen.
Man. Well done.
Yeah,
That's
Thank you.
fantastic parody of that genre.
Yeah, when I heard this song in the queue there, I was like, yeah, I can't approve of this song fast enough. This
Right?
is such a great song.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
So who is that woman singing on the background with you?
That is Rachel Williams. She's a very talented singer of all genres, really. She does musical theater and opera, and apparently, I kind of knew this before I asked her to be part of the project. She kind of lived some of the, I don't know if it's the evangelical lifestyle, but, was at the very least a churchgoer, going to church gigs and stuff like that. So, yeah, she's very talented, and I kind of ran into her through my buddy Ross Childs.
Okay. We know
And
Ross.
he was taking voice lessons with her, and then we kind of connected. And then I kind of saw her work. I'm like, wow, she's really good. I need to work with her. And I've done a couple other things with her as well, but this particular song, her voice seemed very fitting.
It's perfect. Yeah, it really complements yours beautifully.
She nailed the vibe, perfectly. And then Robbie Ellis was playing kind of the main keyboard part there.
Excellent, cool. So, what inspired this song?
So you cut off there. What was the question?
What inspired this song?
Well, this is. I've always been like subjected to this music once in a while on the radio. It just sort of like sneaks up on you. I wouldn't say I just to clarify for those who don't know anything about me, I don't have a religious background of any kind, really. I don't have anything against organized religion itself. I do have an issue with literal interpretation of text, fundamentalism, things like that. But for me, it just always seemed so interesting how it's hyped up as this thing, like we're supposed to be celebrating the glory of God. It's supposed to be this majestic thing, and it just comes out as this very watered down, kind of underwhelming thing. And that's kind of what I wanted to go after, was just the weird blend of religion and capitalism of commercial music into this weird fusion that feels a little forced and unnatural.
Yeah.
It's so interesting because it's this huge industry as well.
Oh yeah, it's huge.
Yeah. And so I mean, and I know plenty of friends, or maybe survivors, if you will, of the church, who don't go to the church anymore for whatever reason they have. And I also have friends who still go. But I don't know. I'm sure there are people out there who might not appreciate the humor of the song, but I'd like to think I kept it classy and clean enough that I could at least get a chuckle out of maybe the more hardcore conservative, rigid Christian or Christian goer. I don't know. It's a weird beast.
One of my favorite things that South Park ever did was Cartman realized that Christian rock was like this big, huge industry, billions of dollars, and they formed a Christian rock band. Make sure I'm on the right setting. I am. Okay. And he said, "Oh, it's really easy to write Christian rock. All you have to do is write a love song and change baby to Jesus." So he's writing,
I remember that episode.
All of these really cringy, "I love you, Jesus," "Come lay down with me, Jesus" type songs, and it's hysterical.
It really is. And I've been told for my song, like, some of the lyrics, just out of context, do sound like they could be of a legitimate,
like a pop
CCM song.
Yeah.
And I literally I went through a playlist on Spotify or two and just like wrote down all the cliches. I'm like, all right, I just got to cram them all into this verse. I also had fun just with the choruses of just literally making it Father, Son, Holy Ghost. And I'm like, that's kind of what it has to be. Yeah. Comedy is rule of threes, and Holy Trinity is comedy in this instance.
Yes.
Yeah, I was thinking back to back in the early 2000s. Tony Goldmark did a kind of a style parody of the band Creed. the song was called "Teeth Clenched." It was so great.
Yeah.
It's like, "I got my teeth clenched and I'm walking in the rain." It's like,
that's the secret, is Eddie Vedder doesn't completely open his mouth, and that's how you I parodied him as well, and it's just the most fun. It's one of the easiest. Yarling, I think, is what they call it. It's the easiest singing style of parody in the world.
One time I was playing a Karaoke Revolution, and a Pearl Jam song came up, and I was just like in a feisty mood, and I just sang the whole thing like, and I got like 100% on it without actually enunciating any of the words.
It's a bold move, but it's a good one. There is apparently an Eddie Vedder album which just like he just plays ukulele songs, and it's exactly what you think it is. Just him singing, accompanying himself on ukulele.
Ring, the ring, the ring, the ring, the ring, the ring. I don't know.
I listened to it. I'm like, I don't know what I was expecting.
Yeah, I may have to check that out just because I'm curious now. So what else is going on with you?
Like I mentioned, I'm prepping for shows, which is a nice change. I felt like I was in transition for a while, so it's kind of nice to have some projects to focus on. I'm slowly writing songs again, which feels good. I'm not in the recording phase yet, but I usually don't do that until I've got at least a couple songs ready. So I'm trying to get them as good as they can be. And I've been watching The Crown for some reason.
Okay.
I'm halfway through season 2.
All right. Queen dies, watch The Crown. Sure. That's the way you do it.
Yeah. I wasn't watching it before, and now I'm like, I guess I'll check it out. And I guess there's season 5 is coming out now, and so I'll have that to get to eventually.
I've never seen an episode of that show.
It's a good sleep aid for me.
Oh, okay.
This is very calm and passive aggressive and British. I mean, I guess those go hand in hand, but
maybe I should try it. I haven't been having trouble sleeping the past couple of years. So
yeah, the actors are good and it's well written. I like it.
Cool. I got so much stuff to watch. There's a new horror anthology on Netflix that just came out today that I got to add to my queue. So much to watch.
I have plenty in my queue too. And usually the circumstances, like I end up focusing just on one thing. And I'm just like, all right, I'm just to get through this series and devote all my attention to that. And as a result, last year I went through like Downton Abbey, and like in a weekend I got through like an entire season.
Nice.
And I'm like, and then I got to a point where like, all right, this show needs to end now. I'm kind of done with this. I still watched it all the way through, but
there's an anime everyone had been talking about that is getting a lot of positive reaction, and Kyle was telling me to watch it, and it's called Spy Family. And if you're looking it up, it's the letter X is in between the two words, so it's Spy space X space Family. I don't know why.
It's not related to Spy Kids.
No,
is it? Okay.
But yeah, it's an anime. It's really fun and really funny. And I started watching it, and I'm like, and in my mind, I was like, oh, this is, everyone's been talking about it. There must be like a few seasons. It must have been around for a while in Japan, and now it's finally made it to America. I start watching it, and I get to like episode 14, and then I discover there were only 15 episodes. And I'm like, what? No, I want more. Dang it! So it's on Hulu. So
yeah, for me, it's going through the new Star Trek series. That's kind of been my go-to.
I'm currently watching Discovery as while I'm at work, type show to watch, because I work from home, so I just if I'm not doing anything that is particularly taxing my brain, I can watch TV in the background. If I'm like doing some hardcore programming and need to concentrate, I can't. But usually most of the stuff I do, I'm like, I could just put it on and let it run. So I've been working my way through Discovery on that, and then trying to catch up on Lower Decks and all the other shows that I watch.
Yeah, the last episode of season 3 of Lower Decks hits Paramount Plus tonight at midnight. So I'm psyched to see that.
Me too. Yeah, I've been enjoying that season.
That's a great show
so far.
It's such a great show.
It's my favorite Star Trek show since Deep Space Nine. And this season they went to Deep Space Nine, so I've just been
yeah, kind of full circle. Yeah, I like that and Strange New Worlds have probably been my favorite of the new Star Trek that's been out.
I haven't watched any of Strange New World yet. I want to kind of get through some of the other ones before I move to that.
For sure. It's a lot like original series if it was just modernized.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it feels.
Basically, the premise of it, and like, so I forgot which executive said this, was basically the pitch was, what if we just did Star Trek?
Well, I think serialized Star Trek can work. I just think, I don't know, some of the shows, they focus too much on the plot and not on the developing the characters, which is kind of what it's about.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, they really focused on what was right with that show. I feel like
Yeah, it's like putting Lower Decks aside as the like super comedy focused one. It's like on Strange New Worlds. It's like, hey, remember when Star Trek used to do silly episodes? We should do that. Let's do something. Let's do an episode that's just silly.
Fun holodeck malfunction episode.
Those are always fun. Yeah.
Well, and Prodigy's coming back in a few weeks. I
Yes. Good.
Yeah.
Another good one. All right. So, Jake, do you have anything you'd like to plug?
Sure. The song you just heard is on an album I released this year called Humans Are Dumb. A whole bunch of different styles ranging from Randy Newman parodies to Jimi Hendrix, Tom Waits, and many others. And features a lot of very talented people, including Robbie Ellis, who I'm going to be doing a show with on November 5th at the Annoyance Theater, 7:30 p.m. if you're in the Chicago area. It's going to be a very fun, epic release concert. Trying to get my chops together for a 90-minute set, essentially. Backlog of material featuring a bunch of guests and the entire album in track order. So that's going to be a really fun event. My wife is in the show. Lots of people I know haven't done live performance in a while going to be in this show. So it's kind of a nice return to the stage.
All right. Sounds good. All right, we're going to move on to news and tour dates and interview Mike. Are you going to stick around? Or are you taking off?
I'll stick around, yeah.
All righty. Well, let's do a promo.
This is the FuMP.
In the parking lot of Walmart, Canadian geese.
No matter what I read, it makes my palms get pretty hairy. Hot to trot. I want a pound to tingle, though I'm not a dinosaur, Bigfoot, or a unicorn that makes him kind of so.
Got the birth rates, temple dates, eagle gates, golden plates, Latter-day Saints, Latter-day Saints, and 70s honeybees, Deseret Industries, Latter-day Saints, Latter-day Saints.
That's the Funny Music Project at thefump.com. THEFUMP.com.
Don't know a lot, but if you'd be my girl, maybe I'll hold your hair while you hurl.
40.
Time for funny music news. Something, something, something.
In the news, the FuMP newsletter went out the other day. This is the newsletter for October. It features stories about the FuMP being on TikTok, some new releases, tour dates, and more. If you're not on our mailing list, you can view it online at tiny.cc/FuMP1022 for October of 2022. Tiny.cc/FuMP1022. And Manic Mondays has hit 800 episodes. The current episode in the feed is number 800. Features interviews with a few people who you may have heard mentioned on the show over the years. And the other thing to bring up about Manic Mondays is next week, episode 801, will be Sea Monkey's last episode as editor. And the illustrious Mike Bolly of Two Sleeps, who's right here on the call with us, will be filling those very big, very smelly shoes. So thank you for taking over, Mike.
I hope I can do it justice. And if it sucks, you know who to blame.
I was hoping you would remember that you agreed to do it.
I do remember. I do. I've been looking forward to it, actually.
Okay. Yeah, remind me. I got to send you all the stems and stuff.
Yeah.
So, all right. That's all I got for this week. Anybody else have any news worth reporting before I do tour dates?
Happy 63rd birthday, Weird Al Yankovic.
Oh, yes. Happy birthday, Al.
Yay.
All right. Tour dates. On Sundays in Nashville, Tennessee, Steve Goody hosting at the Bluebird. On Thursdays online, Phil Johnson and Roadside Attraction. Also on Thursdays online, Steve Goody and Brad Tassel at virtualcomedyshow.com. On the 28th in Slidell, Louisiana, the Consortium of Genius. On the 28th in Muncie, Indiana, Mikey Mason. On the 29th in Denver, Colorado, Bolognium. On the 29th in North Hollywood, California, Bonehenge. On the 29th online, MC Lars. Also on the 29th online, Mikey Mason. On the 30th in Springfield, New Jersey, Carla Ulbrich and Amy Englehart. On the 2nd, in Voorheesville, New York, Drew Jacobs. On the 4th, in Oakland, California, Phil Johnson and Roadside Attraction. On the 4th, online, Carla Ulbrich. On the 5th, in Chicago, Illinois, Jake Dewar. And on the 5th, in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, Nuclear Bubble Wrap.
Is Voorheesville really a place?
Yes,
That's
it
really
is.
funny.
Yep.
Tonight of all nights.
Yes. Speaking of Voorhees,
I was gonna say just south of Lake Geneva in Illinois, there's a place called Crystal Lake. So
nice.
I live fairly close to there.
So, Mike,
In real life, I'm not doing a bit. That's a true story.
so give us a quick intro to this song. We'll give it a listen.
This song was written by Jason Voorhees himself in collaboration with the Cow Manager.
Completely caught me off guard there, dude.
I was hoping.
All right, here is Voorhees by Two Sleeps.
Why does anybody wanna hang out with me? Mommy has a case of death and I could really use a friend. Why does anybody wanna hang out with me? If you're not my friend, then I guess you'll soon be dead. Hey there, Scott, looks like you're all tied up. Wanna be my friend? Oops, you got cut. Terry, I know this doesn't look too nice, but look over there for a minute. Machete to the face, making Mark feel woozy. Watch that last step there, Mark, it's a doozy. Jeff and Sandra bouncing like Tigger. Sorry there, Jeff, when my spear's bigger. Be my friend or be my foe, and either way you got to go. 'Cause Mother says that you're all hoes and she's a head, so she would know. Hey, are you my mommy? I thought that you were dead. Wait a minute, bitch. I can see my mom's head. Paul ain't gonna save you. I will kill him with a pick. At least that's what you're thinking at the ending of the flick. Jimmy, why'd you have to go and stab me in the shoulder? Now I'll have to wait and kill some people till I'm older. I guess that I should go now and complete a special task. If we're gonna go 3D, I'm gonna need a new mask. Gonna don a hockey mask. Because this burlap sack really smells like ass. Gonna don a hockey mask. Because this burlap sack really smells like ass.
All right, so I think that's probably the first song I've ever heard dedicated just to Friday the 13th Part 2.
That's my favorite one of
It
all
is.
of them.
Okay.
It really is, yeah.
Why is that?
I don't know. I feel like it's kind of Jason's origin story, you know? It's before he gets the iconic mask and, like, his first kills and just, I don't know, something about the humble beginnings compared to what it became, you know,
Yeah.
19, however many movies there's been now.
Not as many as Amityville, but it's catching up.
True.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen Part 2 in a very long time. I mean, I do know it was, you know, Jason's first starring role, so to speak, because he was not the killer in Part 1. I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen.
I was gonna say spoilers, Devo.
Well, I mean, he had a small role in part 1, and then he got the hockey mask in part 3. And if any of you saw that terrible remake in 2009, they kind of combined the first 3 movies together to do that. But yeah, so I love the song. It's a killer track.
Thank you.
Very rockin', which I dig. As we said, we need more metal on the FuMP. It needs to be the funny metal project.
It felt very Iron Maiden at the end. I liked it.
Nice. Iron Maiden is definitely an influence.
I was just gonna ask, who do you follow for sound? Like, what are you going for with your sound here?
Honestly, it's kind of just a mixture. I like a lot of different kinds of metal, and commercially speaking, it's probably not the best idea, but I just kind of try to combine all the styles that I like together, and it just becomes whatever it becomes.
Excellent. Well, if you want to be commercially successful, you shouldn't be doing comedy, because
that's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah, comedy songwriting is not the most lucrative art form for most individuals.
Really not.
But it is the most fun, so.
Yes, I will give you that. We're also going to write a song about Friday the 13th Part 2.
Exactly. I'll take fun over money any day.
Right. I don't even know what else to ask you about this song. I just want to talk about Friday the 13th all night now.
Do either of you know how many of these movies
Doctor
there've
Who
been?
crossover.
How many of those movies you've been? Yes. So the original series went from part 1 to part 10, where Jason X was part 10. And then they did Freddy vs. Jason. And then they did a remake of Friday the 13th. So that would be 12. Were there any more? Did I miss any?
Wasn't there one where he went to space?
That was Jason X.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Of course, there's one where he goes into space.
It's great. It's fantastic. Yeah, Jason was cryogenically frozen, and they recover his body on a space station, and they bring him back to life, and fun ensues, and it's great. He cryogenically freezes some woman's head and then smashes it on the desk, and it shatters. It's great.
Jason versus Predator.
They haven't done that, but I mean, they were talking about like a big monster mashup where it was going to be like Freddy versus Jason versus Michael Myers versus Chucky versus Alien versus Predator, and put them all in one movie and see what happens. That would be something Chris Chibnall from Doctor Who could write, because he's the one who likes to cram all of that crap into a movie and see what happens. So that's
full circle.
Yep.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a good movie, but it would be fun.
Yeah, it would.
It would be the ultimate showdown, but
that's
with
how
horror movie characters.
That's how I describe Freddy versus Jason. It's not a good movie, but it's a fun movie. But really, I didn't like the remake in 2009. In fact, I did a horrible movie review of it for Manic Mondays. But the thing that, it wasn't a terrible movie, but the thing that absolutely broke my suspension of disbelief on that movie was Jason took a hostage. Jason took a hostage. Like, no.
Maybe he just wanted to play with his food before he ate it.
I'm like, that's not how that works. That's not how Jason works. No, just no.
It sounds out of character for someone who knows pretty much nothing about that franchise.
He sees people, he kills people. That's what happens. That's all there is to Jason. Sees them, kills them. That's pretty much it. You know, occasionally he gives you a pass, like when he's walking down New York City, takes off his mask, scares people away. You know, but generally he just kills everybody he meets. There's another movie that's fan made. Crap, what the hell is it called? Oh, I gotta find it. It's on YouTube. It's a fan made Friday the 13th movie, and it is outstanding.
My understanding of the reboots is they basically, well, not the reboots. These sequels are they're not acknowledging any of the other sequels are like canon. Is that
no? They do.
Understanding. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
the first,
including the space one.
Yes. So the first four, So in the first one, Jason, it's a story of Jason's mother, basically. And then Jason comes back as the killer in 2, 3, and 4. And he doesn't actually die at the end of 2 and 3. Those are survivable wounds. So he survives. At the end of 4, his head gets sliced to pieces by a machete. That's not a survivable wound. Jason is dead. Part 5 was called The New Beginning, which was a copycat killer. It's not one of the better sequels. And then in Part 6 is where the supernatural stuff begins. That's when Jason is brought back to life by lightning bolt because, of course. And then from there, it starts getting a little sillier. Part 7, he's brought back accidentally by a girl with telekinesis, and that's actually one of my favorite ones in the series because the showdown at the end with Jason versus this girl with telekinetic powers is awesome. Part 8 was Jason Takes Manhattan, where it's just what it sounds like. Jason goes to New York for reasons. And then Part 9 is the only one in the series I don't like because it was... They tried to explain why Jason was unkillable, and it had to do with his heart, and his heart kept jumping bodies, and it wasn't Jason doing the killing. It was these other people trying to be Jason doing the killing. And so I didn't like that. And then part 10, I guess they kind of ignored everything that happened in the past because Jason is now cryogenically frozen somehow. So I guess that's the first.
This all makes the 4th Alien movie seem competent.
And then they did Freddy versus Jason, which Freddy goes... okay, so the plot of that one, if Freddy gets his power by people being afraid of him, and it's been so long that people are forgetting about him, so he's losing power. So he goes to hell, finds Jason, brings Jason back. That somehow reminds people that Freddy exists, and that brings Freddy back. But now Jason is there killing people that Freddy wants to kill. So now Freddy has to kill Jason before Jason kills all the kids, and Jason won't die. Actually, there's one good scene I mean, it's a fun movie. Watching the two of them battle it out and hearing Freddy go, "Why won't you die?" is really cool. But other than
this
that,
one you're selling for sure. I'm sold on this one.
Yeah, because like at the beginning, it's like, you know, Freddy is basically manipulating Jason through Jason's dreams by pretending to be Jason's mom and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's how he initially manipulates Jason until
what the hell?
I guess Jason.
Because you can make Jason do anything you want to if you just pretend to be his mom. That's the
basically,
message
yeah.
of the entire series.
I gotta find this movie. It's a movie about a vlogger who he does like a camping vlog, and he's travels around the country and just happens to end up in Camp Crystal Lake, and is like, oh my God, this is where all those murders happened, and he like sneaks into the camp, and you know Jason's there. But it's just him, and they did like the I don't know how he did it. I don't know how the dude who filmed it did it, but there's like recognizable scenes from the movies, like where the kills are, and there's stakes in the ground from where the police were investigating and stuff. It's really good. I gotta find it.
Yeah, I know that the Freddy sequels get pretty ridiculous pretty quickly too.
Yeah,
I've only seen Nightmare on Elm Street.
Never Hike Alone is the name of the fan film. It's up on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
It's just under an hour long, and it's really, really good. It's like, you know, professional quality film, and it's real. Highly recommend it.
I like that they were objective enough to like, okay, this will just be an hour.
Yeah,
and not like 3 or 4.
Right. Yeah, I'm actually a huge Freddy Krueger fan. I love all the Nightmare on Elm Street movies.
Yeah, it's like I never, you know, nothing against them. I just never got into watching the Friday the 13th movies, but I saw all of the Nightmare movies, so I was a big. Yeah, the only Nightmare movie I haven't seen is the remake one they did.
Yeah, that's not good either. No,
yeah,
that's
I kind of
not a
figured
good one.
that
Nope.
much. I used to watch what was that show called? Freddy's Nightmares.
Freddy's Nightmares. Yeah, that was great.
That was fun because it was like, you know, like an anthology, you know, random scary stories, but then they would also have stories that had to do with Freddy and explained like his backstory and stuff. I loved it.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for Friday the 13th because I was about 6 years old. We were trick-or-treating, and it's one of the oldest memories I have. Someone in like just a picture-perfect Jason costume with a real chainsaw that they had taken the chain off of, but it still ran, like came straight up to me and was just like, ree, ree, ree. Scared the ever-loving shit out of me. I will never forget it.
Nice. Excellent. All right, let's wrap this up. Michael, you got anything you got to plug?
You can subscribe to me on YouTube and follow me on Twitter at Two Sleeps Music.
All right, let's do some feedback.
Making the internet absolutely ridiculous. Dementia Radio.
www.dementiaradio.org. Port 8027.
Please hang up and try again.
This is the part where there's feedback. Feedback. You know that segment of the show we do about now? Feedback. Feedback.
Sorry, not trying to rush anyone, but I just learned that I need to go pick up Darren from swim in 5 minutes, so we got to finish this.
For who could ever learn to love a beast?
Father Beast wrote, someone asking for podcasts? Let me check my comedy music podcast folder. In addition to Manic Mondays, you can also check out Devo Spice's Insider podcast, Byron Lee's Fun Zone, The Dr. Demento Show, but that costs money, Luke and Carrie's Bad Rapport, but that may have pod faded, and if you like Weird Al, Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast and Beard Al podcast. Also, Devo mentioned Mur's podcast, I Should Be Writing. To that, I would add Writing Excuses. Yep, those are all good shows. Although I've never heard of Beard Al's podcast. I have to check that out.
I'm not ready to make the full announcement yet because I have things going on in my life, but I'm going to be starting up another podcast that is similar to Bad Rapport, which will feature funny music. And me talking with friends and stuff. So sometime in the not too distant future, that will be a thing. So when I'm ready to announce that, I'll announce it here on the FuMPCast. Hey.
All righty. All right. This.
Teasing. He's a teasing kind of guy. Now you have a job.
Yeah.
All right. So Friday's song isn't posted yet. I just sent an email to the artist to see if they were able to post it. I will follow up with them. Tuesday song is by Zoltan and the Fortune Tellers. All right. I need a Spotify playlist topic. Any suggestions?
Midwest emo.
What was that? What'd you say, Jake?
I said Midwest emo.
Are there 30 minutes worth of songs, comedy songs about that on Spotify?
Not that I know of.
How about Jason Voorhees?
Jason Voorhees. I can probably. How many Friday the 13th songs are there? I mean, I have one.
I have a song that mentions Jason Voorhees.
Yep, we could do that.
Hallelujah.
Jeff Whitmire's got to have one. I don't know if he's done Friday the 13th yet.
Or how about Freddy versus Jason is the topic. So it's songs
Freddy
about
versus
Freddy
Jason.
There you go.
and Jason.
That we can do because
In space.
that'll give us. then I can also do Are You Ready for Freddy?
Yes.
And Nightmare on
Five
My
Nights
Street.
at Freddy's crossover. That's a whole other rabbit hole to go down.
Yeah, there should be more. I'm sure there's more. All right. If not, I'll just go into other. I'm sure there's other songs about other serial killers. All right. And I'll do that tomorrow because I don't have to do it today. All right, Jake, plug yourself one more time.
You can find me JakeDewarComedy.com, social media at Jake Dewar Comedy, and check out my album Humans Are Dumb on Apple Music and Spotify and other places.
Mike, plug yourself one more time.
can find me at twosleepsmusic.com, Two Sleeps Music on Twitter, and look for me on Spotify or the streaming service of your choosing.
All right. Let's get out of here. Thank you for listening to the Funny Music Podcast. I'm Devo Spice.
I'm Luke Ski.
And there's other people.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Funny Music Podcast. You can listen live every Thursday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific at DementiaRadio.org and join us in the chat. Or subscribe to the podcast feed. Look us up on iTunes and be sure to leave us a review. Feedback for the show can be sent to info@thefump.com. The Funny Music Podcast is a production of Fidem Interactive, LLC, released under a Creative Commons share-alike license. Tell your friends. Tell your enemies. Shout it to random people on the street. And be sure to visit thefump.com for the latest funny songs. Tune in next week where you'll hear Luke Ski say,
Boy, I tell you what, I'm just doing Hank Hill because I couldn't think of anything else to do, Bobby.
Okay, Dad.